Hello, I'm Dylan.
And I'm Keon.
And this is Trust Your Doctor, that podcast where there's something on our back. Because this week we watched Turn Left.
Written by Russell T. Davies.
Directed by Graham Harper.
And aired on June 21st, 2008. Finally get to learn what's on Donna's back. And I joked some weeks ago that it was just a spider. And
Yeah, I mean, it was more of a beetle.
yeah,
If we're
it
going to
was.
be semantic here.
Yeah. But, that uncannily close guess that was just a joke turned out to be something
I mean,
pretty
but like
close.
when someone says there's something on your back, what's the first thing you think is on your back?
like a bug.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
it's like pretty intentional, I think.
I guess.
It seems intentional to me. Anyway, that was in Fires of Pompeii, I think, because that was when the soothsayer mentioned that Donna had something on her back.
Yeah.
Everyone was like all confused because there wasn't anything on Donna's back. So does that mean in this universe that, like, what happened in Pompeii in this universe?
What do you mean? I mean, I got the impression there was some weird stuff going on in this episode, but I got the impression that this thing, and this might be completely wrong based on what we find out in the, next week when we finish up this season. But what I got the impression of was that this thing had been on her back for a while, and that it creates distortions and alternate timelines, right? So it created this timeline where she turned left and it was on her back, turned right, and it was on her back in that world as well, which is why it came back when she's brought out of that space and killed again.
We explicitly see it crawl onto her back at the start of this episode. And then,
oh yeah, that's right. We get that shot. I mean, I guess you can say that that's not it crawling on her back because you don't actually see it, but yeah, all right, sure.
But it creates, it changes someone's a choice that someone made, and then feeds off of the parallel universe or something like that. But with Donna, because it made such a big change, and apparently Donna's such an important person in the universe, it created an entire parallel universe. Because the Doctor says it normally just the universe compensates around the change, and it doesn't create a new universe. But because Donna was so important, it created an entire parallel universe because of all the things she did. Right,
an entire parallel universe where another version of it, or just another one of its kind, was also on her back.
I guess. I don't know. My impression of it was that it was Donna. It was like a clone of Donna, but a clone of future Donna with the bug on her back. I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain away the fact that this bug is on her back 2 years before she even ever makes it to this planet where the bug crawls onto her back.
Yeah, that's why I just headcanoned it, I guess, away as in this other universe, it's also on her back, I guess 2 years earlier.
Yeah. In my mind, it was because it's feeding off that universe, so it had to be on Donna's back. So it was feeding off of that universe that it created. Anyway, we should explain how we actually get to that point. So the story begins with the Doctor and Donna landing in a market of some sort on some planet.
I thought it was China.
It's not Earth, as far as I know. At least my assumption was that it's not Earth.
At some point, someone says the name of a city, and it sounds vaguely Chinese.
Let's check the all-knowing wiki. They land on a bustling marketplace on an alien world called Shanshan.
Okay, well, it's based on
China.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty obvious. I think from the Chinese writing on all of the banners hanging in Shanshan.
And last week we had, the one episode per season that doesn't really feature the companion very much, and this one is, the one that doesn't feature the Doctor very much.
Yeah, so last week we had Midnight, which barely featured Donna, and then this week we have this Turn Left, which barely features the Doctor, because after this opening scene and the ending scene, the Doctor doesn't appear in this story at all.
Yeah, interestingly, I'd read before, or I'd seen somewhere that this is sometimes considered a three-parter with the ones that come after it. That officially I think it's not listed as part 1, 2, and 3. It's just this, and then there's part 1 and 2.
It's basically an entirely separate story. I mean, it's really different from Utopia, Sound of Drums, and Lost of the Time Lords. Those are pretty obviously the same story told over 3 episodes, whereas this one is clearly one separate story and then another story that's told over 2 episodes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess I'll have to see. But
even though this does set up, basically, it sets up next week's story. So Donna goes to this fortune teller who somehow convinces Donna to go inside by telling her that the reading is free for ladies with red hair. And she just buys this.
Yeah, this is a massive red flag if someone's trying to get you to buy something and they keep making excuses as to why it's like free or like discounted for you specifically.
Yeah.
Donna's like, all right, fine. So she goes into the room or whatever.
Yeah.
And this is where we see the first person perspective shots of the creature. Do we ever get a name for the creature? I don't think we
No.
really
The doctor
do.
says later that he doesn't know exactly what it is, but it's part of the Tricksters Brigade, apparently, whatever that means. We'll just call it the Trickster Beetle.
Sure. It's called the Trickster.
The Trickster.
Yeah.
Another Time Lord that regenerated into a beetle-shaped form. Can Time Lords regenerate into non-humanoid figures? This is
Probably not.
a question that I just came up with right now that's really bugging me, actually.
Probably not, but if so, then all the ones we've seen on screen.
Just completely and utterly lucky.
Yeah, if you even want to call it lucky to be, trapped in a human form instead of like a giant bug.
I'd rather be a human than a giant bug, if I'm being honest. At least then I have hands.
Well. Yeah, all right.
Also, there's that implication that Romana can like control her regeneration, so
Yeah, that was just specific to her, though.
maybe all Time Lords can control the regenerations, and the Doctor is just really bad at regenerating. So the fortune teller grabs Donna's hands, and she's like, "What are you doing? Stop! What are you doing?" And she's asking Donna about how she met the Doctor. She's like, "Oh, I went to go work as a temp at this agency in London," and she's like, "When did you decide to do that?" And she's like, "Oh, when I turned left this one time, my mom was trying to convince me to go be this person's secretary, but I turned left." And she's like, "Go back, change, turn right, turn right." So
right. She knows Donna's name, too, without
Yeah.
her saying anything.
So we see Donna get in the car with her mom, and her mom,
Mom vehemently wants her to go become this guy's personal secretary.
yeah, she's like, big agencies don't need temps except for practice. And Donna's like, yeah, I guess you're right. And she flips her indicator from left to right, and she turns right, and then
Yeah, reminds me how I would never be able to drive in like the UK or any other place where they drive on the left.
well, I guess it's the other side of the road
I'd just be confused by it, just be hugely
because it's the other side of the road.
Yeah.
I mean, you get used to it pretty quickly.
Yeah. I don't know.
In South Africa, they drive on the left.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting because most continents drive on the right, whereas islands drive on the left. Well, that's not obviously not true for every place.
Well, I mean, South Africa was a British colony, and
Yeah.
then they were like, "We're gonna drive on the left, boys." So they drive on the left. I can't remember the country now, but there was like a country or a province somewhere where they used to drive. I think they used to drive on the left, but then a dictator came to power and just unilaterally declared that as of like tomorrow, they're all driving on the right side of the road.
Spain? I don't know.
And so they all had to, and all the buses were designed for like the left side of the road, but now they're on the right. So to get in and out of the bus, you have to like run into the road to get on the bus because the doors open into traffic instead of onto the curb.
What was the point of that, though? What was the point of switching it just to like exercise some power?
I mean, yeah, he was a dictator, and he's like, I want to prove that I'm a dictator, so we're all going to drive on the other side of the road starting from now.
I mean, if you have a car from another country, you can still drive like in a country, no matter what side of the car the steering wheel is on.
Yeah,
but like
you have to get it approved, I think, right?
I don't know, but I mean, it becomes a problem with a bus. But like normal cars, I mean, I've seen cars here, just a few, but I've seen cars that have their steering wheels on the right.
Yeah, I think you have to get special dispensation to do that, though. I think if you import a car from like Europe, you have to get it approved and something like that, I think.
Sure. I mean, one of the only places in Europe that actually drives on the left is the UK. Almost everywhere else drives on the right.
Classic UK. Isn't there a tunnel that goes from the UK to France?
Yeah, but it's a train.
Okay.
It's not a car
So,
tunnel.
like, if there's a car tunnel connecting the two, is there just like a switchover in the middle?
Well, it would be as simple as doing one of those California you know, crossover type things that you see on the freeways here.
Yeah, I guess.
I mean, I guess you could get one of those devices that, it's train track compatible wheels, but like you can put a car on top of it and drive a car on train tracks. Have you seen one of those?
Yeah, I saw it in Back to the Future 3.
Oh yeah.
Okay, anyway, back to the story at hand. Donna turns right.
Right,
and then,
the whole thing is sort of it's Donna going through what would have happened to her if she hadn't met the doctor, basically.
Right.
And I mean, I don't know, how'd you feel about that? Because I thought I liked it, but like, yeah,
I liked it.
I guess I liked it.
It shows this alternate universe where the doctor never meets Donna, and it kind of, I think it's the most effective way of showing like how important Donna is to the doctor, is just to show what would happen if the doctor and Donna never met each other. I mean, because you can keep saying every week, Dr. Donna, really important. Donna's really important to the doctor. But it doesn't mean anything unless you like have proof of some sort, right? Well, I think the best way to do that is to show us what happens when the doctor and Donna never meet.
Well, it's also that Donna is important to the events that are going on herself, whether she meets the doctor or not.
And she's also important to the events of next week, like massively important. Rose basically says, like, you need to go back because of what's going to happen still, what hasn't happened yet. Like all the stars going out, that's next week's story.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, actually, that the story basically gives us a major plot element of what's happening next week.
Yeah.
Before we even get there.
Well, I thought what it was going to be, maybe it still is, but I thought it was going to be related to the creature, right? It was how it creates alternate timelines / universes.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's somehow related to the disappearance of these planets. But, don't spoil anything.
No, I'm not going to say anything, but all I'll say is that the stars going out is something that's basically the main catalyst for next week's story.
Right.
And the fact that they're going out because Donna's not with the doctor is like a key thing that you should keep in mind when you're watching next week's story. But we're not there yet.
Is Donna even human? Are they going to come at you like I don't know. Something?
We're 1 week away. We're 1 week away from the end of the season. So Donna goes to work for this agency, and then we like smash cut to Christmas that year. And if you remember, in the regular timeline, at Christmas that year, Donna is getting married to that other temp at the company.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't a temp. He was someone higher up than her,
an executive of some sort.
Yeah, but now she's
not.
She's wealthier than she, otherwise would have been.
Yeah, but
at the cost
less
of
satisfied.
I don't know. I mean,
well, she is later when she gets sacked. So they see this Christmas star overhead, which is the Rachnos spaceship that Donna helped the doctor stop in. What was the name of that story?
Runaway Bride.
Runaway Bride. So presumably this executive found some other hapless girl to get teleported into the doctor's spaceship.
Or just achieved it some other way.
Possibly. I mean, we don't really know. Nor do we actually need to know. No. It doesn't really matter, at all. Like, the only thing that does matter is that the Donna runs down to the river because she sees, like, paramedics, and their unit is there, and they're talking about how they found a body, and then you see the doctor's arm, like, drop out of the body bag and drop the sonic screwdriver.
And then Rose comes running up. We actually didn't mention last week when Rose appeared on one of the
television
screens, right?
In the background. She was kind of yelling, "Doctor, doctor."
Right.
Doctor.
She's a bigger part of this story. She runs up to Donna and she's like, "Whoa, is he dead?"
And Donna's like, "Yeah, they found a doctor. I don't know what doctor, but he's dead." And she's like, "Dang." And Donna's like, "Could be any doctor. They didn't say his name." And Rose is like, "Yeah, no, it's the doctor. He must have drowned, and he wouldn't have been able to regenerate." Because if you remember in Runaway Bride, Donna is the person who gets the doctor to leave the room when he's flooding the Rachnos chamber.
Yeah, I didn't remember that, but the story does a good job of reminding you that it's Donna who saves the doctor in that story, basically. Yeah. I didn't remember exactly how, but it's not actually that important to this story to remember, Al.
And basically part of the reason why everything goes tits
Wrong.
up for England from now on is because the Doctor's dead. Harold Saxon still destroys the spaceship like he did in the Prime timeline, but I guess because the Doctor's dead, the Master doesn't really have any purpose here. So then we get... What was the next thing that happened?
The hospital disappearing, I think.
Yeah, the hospital disappearing, which I forgot that they actually included in the story because that was during the Martha season. That was
Right.
Martha's first story. Donna,
Yeah.
it like didn't have any relation to that at all, but
No.
because the Doctor's dead, that whole event plays out completely differently.
Right. Martha, as Donna sees on a TV broadcast, Martha dies. Sarah Jane also dies in this.
Yeah, Sarah Jane was apparently in the hospital when it got beamed up, and she apparently was the one who like reversed the MRI to send it back to Earth, like the Doctor does in the
I forget what that one's called.
Smith and Jones.
Right.
So Sarah Jane kind of takes the Doctor's place in that instance. She dies, and only one guy survives the hospital. It's just some random intern who Martha gave the loss of the oxygen to. I really thought that one person who was going to survive was going to be like
Martha.
Martha or someone we had seen before, but it's okay that it wasn't.
And I think at this point, Donna runs into Rose again.
Yeah, but I just want to mention
Or,
that,
right,
that Donna and her grandfather watched the hospital, the aftermath of the hospital on the TV, and
And Donna,
they're like, there's rhinos, and grandfather's like, or Wilf is like, oh, that's aliens.
Donna's mom is like, I'm getting real sick and tired of your shit, Wilf.
Wilf's like, bug off.
Well,
I raised you.
Donna also quits her job pretty...
Yeah, when the
Pretty
hospital
badly.
disappears, because apparently her boss, who she's the personal secretary to, like, has been sexually assaulting her. At least she implies it. She's
Wait,
like,
what?
Yeah, she's like, oh yeah, I've got 2 words for you: wandering hands, huh? And,
All right, yeah. I mean, there was also...
the
Yeah,
fact
was that it? Or
Well, also someone else typed up her report, and also she's
Oh,
like, did you
right.
give it to like Charles or whatever his name was? He doesn't do anything. You know, the guy's like, all of my contracts are on the other side of the Thames, and the Thames is still closed because it's empty because it flooded
yeah,
the core
half
of the
of
earth.
London is still flooded.
So he's like, I can't fulfill any of my contracts. I'm not making any money, so I got to let some things go. And she's like, why me? I mean, I actually do work here. And she
Oh,
leaves.
right, yeah, she points out the guy who's like,
Doesn't do any work.
there's always one.
She also points out that some of the money that's been going missing was like one of the other people who's apparently, I guess, embezzling funds from this guy's small company.
Reminds me of this. This is actually completely unrelated to Doctor Who or anything at all. This Twitter thread I saw recently, or quote unquote thread, and I hesitate to call Twitter conversations threads, but you know,
That's
whatever.
what Twitter calls them.
Yeah, well, apparently this one employee at this company just like stole someone's shrimp out of the fridge and just like threw it out. And
Wow.
like and they started this like whole investigation as to like who did it. And eventually everyone except the person who did it like found out that it was her. And she just like when they were discussing it, she was like, wow, who would do that? Just take the shrimp and throw it out. And, like
Everyone
the
else
upper
out-
management knows, like everyone else knew, like even the janitor even knew. And they're like, nobody knows why she did it. But she's like on everyone's watch list now.
Maybe she just really hated shrimp. She was like, nobody can have shrimp on my
I
watch.
can't have shrimp, then nobody can.
Yeah, maybe she's allergic to shrimp, and she's like, maybe she's like a hardcore environmental activist.
I think it was shrimp. I don't know. Anyway, Donna quits.
Yeah, and then they see the alien. Well, they hear about the aliens on TV, and then she's like, "I'll go buy fish and chips with my final paycheck." And she's like out walking on the town when Rose. There's a big flash of light in an alleyway, and then Rose pops out. And she's like, "Oh, hey." Donna's like, "Hey, I saw you
Hey,
at the
it's you
river."
from a year and a half ago.
Yeah. And Rose is like, "You should get out of London on Christmas."
Use that raffle ticket you found. You'll win a first place prize.
And Donna's like, "Wait, what the hell?" Rose is like, "Look, just trust me." Donna's like, "You're really weird." Why
Rose
do I
won't
keep
tell
talking to you?"
Donna her name
Yeah, Rose won't tell anyone her name, apparently.
because apparently a single wrong word can just send things off in a bad direction.
Yeah, she's apparently trying to preserve the timeline as much as possible. I guess in case things go horribly wrong when they try to send Donna back in time. But anyway, we then cut to Christmas Day, 1 year after the star blanketed London and killed a ton of people. And
And Wilf is wearing double
antler ears.
antler ears. Yeah.
What's Donna's mom's name again?
I forgot.
Sylvia. Sylvia tells Wilf to take him off, and Wilf's like, "No, I shan't. It's Christmas. Christmas Eve."
Well,
And apparently they only bought one room in this chateau, or rented one room, because Wilf's like, we could have gotten 2 rooms with the money we won, but instead we were crammed into this one room.
because he's forced to sleep on the couch, which is fine. The couch looks comfortable than like most beds, but more comfortable than most beds. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this is sort of like a shared vacation place, right?
Yeah, it's like a vacation home. It's like an inn almost.
We forgot to mention that throughout all of this, people have been staring at Donna's back.
Yeah, she's like, why are you doing that? That's part of the reason why she tells Rose off the second time she sees her, because Rose is staring at her back. She's like, what do you see? What? There's nothing there. Every time I go home and I look, and there's nothing there. So
There is, and it's just invisible.
invisible right now. So Donna was like up at the crack of dawn, apparently. She's like, I'm going to get the most out of this place. But then Sylvia's watching the TV, and they're like, we're live from Buckingham Palace. There's a replica of the Titanic screaming towards Earth. There is a replica of the Titanic screaming towards Buckingham Palace. And then you just see, it doesn't pull up. You basically just see the same shot from,
Yeah, whatever that one was
Voyage
called.
of the Damned.
Yeah.
But instead of the Titanic pulling up at the last moment and buzzing Buckingham Palace, it just crashes into the ground and explodes. And then
Yeah, destroying all of London.
they feel the shockwave at the inn that they're at.
They see the mushroom cloud, too.
Well, so they feel the shockwave first, and the TV goes dead, and Sylvia's like, all the channels are dead. And then Wolf is like looking out the window, and he's like, oh no, all those people, oh no. And they run outside, and there's just a massive mushroom cloud over London,
Yep.
which is, that kind of...
And I mean, since
Sucks.
London is the most populated city in the UK and also the world, I think it's either London or Tokyo.
It's not Beijing?
No, actually, no, it's most populated capital, I think is what
okay.
it is.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
Washington, D.C. is like tiny, a tiny, just carved out piece of like West Virginia or Virginia.
/ Maryland.
Yeah, in that area.
Yeah.
Designed not to be in any state, like explicitly.
So millions of people are now out of a place to live.
Yeah, Donna and her family get sent to Leeds. And they're like, it's Leeds or nothing. And Donna's like, damn. And they're like, yeah, we have like hundreds of millions of people to relocate because basically all of South England is covered in radiation and France just closed their borders. So the best we can do is Leeds.
So they get sent to this shared house.
Kind of makes you wonder who's in control of the British government right now, since I'm pretty sure the entire British government got
The
wiped
master.
out. Pretty sure he's dead. Pretty sure everyone in London got wiped out by that bomb.
Yeah, but it's the master we're talking about. Pretty sure he survived it.
Yeah, he would have regenerated, though. No way he would have convinced anyone he was Harold Saxon. Probably some random dude staged a military coup and took over, since the Queen's dead, too.
Yeah, I wonder who's next in line for
The
British
royal
throne.
crown.
Yeah, if all of the, if all of that line who lives in London dies, like who's next? I don't know. No, nor do I care.
I don't know. It's kind of like they have this concept in America called the designated survivor. So if they ever get, there's the line of succession in America which goes the president, the vice president, and then I think it goes Speaker of the House.
Yeah, it is. It is
And
a
then-
Speaker of the House, which
and
is
then
weird.
President pro tempore of the Senate. Well, the reason why they do Speaker of the House is because they don't want the president to be able to pick the successor, because the Speaker of the House is elected by the House.
Yeah, all right. That makes
So
sense.
that if the president and the vice president both die, they don't want the president to have picked the person immediate in line, because then after Speaker and President pro tempore of the Senate, it goes, I think, Secretary of State.
I don't know the correct
Secretary
order.
of State, and then Secretary of Defense. And then after that, it doesn't matter. But anyway, the point I was trying to make is that if they ever get...
After that, they just pull a random guy off the street.
Well, it goes all the way down to like Secretary of Urban Housing and Development. But like if they ever get a meeting of all of those people in one place, they always take one person and put them in a secure, undisclosed location far away from the meeting location, and they're the designated survivor, which is so that if some tragedy happens that wipes out basically
All of these people.
all of these people at the meeting, there's one person who was designated as surviving who takes the office of president. And there was a television show based around the concept where the designated survivor has to take the presidency. It was unsurprisingly called Designated Survivor. And the guy's like secretary of like in the environment or something. He's like 20th in line of succession and he has to take the presidency.
I remember, I don't know, I think someone told me about this a long time ago, and now that I think about it again, they might have just been joking, but apparently, like, if everyone who's actually in line for, like, the British throne, who's actually, like, you know, a royal or a noble or whatever, which is, like, a huge list already, so it's basically impossible that this would happen, but if they all die or, like, not capable of taking succession or whatever,
Yeah.
there's, like, a list of all citizens in Britain, not all citizens in Britain, but, like, I'm pretty sure it's just English people, actually. There's this list of, like, people who are, like, in that. That's the list of, like, who would take over.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine they have some sort of procedure in place for if there's a massive catastrophe that wipes out most of the upper government, right?
I mean, the royal family in the UK is basically not anything. They don't have any power, do they? I'm pretty sure they don't.
I think the Queen technically can override the Prime Minister and the cabinet, but I don't think she ever does because I think they can remove
It's
her
like a
from
massive
power.
dick move.
So, anyway, Donna and her family end up living with this other family in this tiny house. So they end up living in the kitchen, and Donna's like, "This is just great. This is just great."
Right, this guy is really ecstatic about sharing a house with like 12 other people. I mean, you can kind of see when he and the rest of the family get taken to the concentration camp, basically in a little bit, that he was just faking it, but still super happy to, at least outwardly, to be here.
Well, eventually they hear gunfire a couple days or weeks or months later, and it's the Atmos system. I completely forgot about that, if I'm being honest. But it's the Atmos system, and Rose shows up again, and Donna goes with her, and Rose is like, "We're lucky. There's basically no gasoline left in England, so there's basically no stuff here." We also forgot to mention, actually...
The adipose killing 60 million Americans.
Yeah, they use America instead of England. It's really funny,
well,
actually.
because our obesity rate's like way higher.
Well, also because England practically doesn't exist anymore after the Titanic crashes into it. But Wolf is like, America's going to send 50 billion pounds in aid. God bless America. And then it cuts to America is in crisis.
60 million dead.
60 million Americans are dead. So that's not happening. But yeah, now so the Atmos system's going off, and Rose is like, "Look, Donna, you're really important, and one day you're going to come with me, and you're going to die, but only when you're ready. And by the way, make sure Wilf still has that telescope. Make sure he's still looking at the stars."
Well, she doesn't tell Donna that she's going to come with her and die. She says, basically says, if you don't come with me, you know, you're going to die in a short amount of time.
She also says, "If you come with me, you'll die." Donna knows that she's going to die if she goes with Rose. And that's why later when she's in the circle of mirrors, she's like, "I understand it now. You don't mean die literally. You mean just this timeline will blink out of existence. I'll die metaphorically." And Rose is like, "I'm so sorry."
No. But that's, I think, basically what happens. Well, first, the family that they're staying with is taken to a labor camp.
Yeah, and Wolf is like, labor camp is what they called them before. And Rose is, Donna's like, "Wait, what do you mean?" And Wolf is like, "It's happening again.
Yeah.
It's happening again." And apparently Donna doesn't remember her history because World War II.
Well, I mean, I don't think the scene where she goes, you know, "Where are you taking them? Where are you taking them?" is her not remembering. It's just her in disbelief.
She has a momentary... She momentarily forgets when the guy's like talking with her because he's like making it out as like nothing big. He's like, "Oh yeah, we're just going to go sow and till some fields. We'll be fine." And then Wilf is like...
He's really ecstatic to go be taken to a labor camp as well, but then he sort of breaks down and you see that like he's...
Well, yeah, because I think he's just putting on a brave face for Donna, really. Yeah. He just doesn't want her to worry about him. This scene reminded me of a movie called Life is Beautiful, which is a really depressing movie about a Jewish family who gets taken to a concentration camp. It's an Italian movie.
Yeah, I've heard of that, I believe.
Well, it's actually about more than that. It tells this whole love story between these two people and how they meet and they fall in love and they have children and then they get taken to the concentration camp. So they really hit you with the emotional feels, and then it's all just downhill from there when they get to the camp. But yeah, Wilf gives the guy a salute. They give each other a salute because they both know what's coming now. And that's that they're probably
Yeah.
going to die in the labor camp. The guy's like, English for the English. And
Yeah,
then
England for the English. One of the this is actually a minute or two before this, but one of the soldiers almost shoots Donna because of the what's on her back.
yeah, this is when he's shooting the Atmos system. And he almost shoots Donna because of the beetle on her back. And then we get Wilf and Donna looking through the telescope up at the stars. And Wilf is like, man, I was just looking at Orion and now it's gone. And Donna's like, what do you mean gone? Look through the telescope. And there's just nothing through the telescope. There's just nothing. And then they watch as the stars actually blink out like right in front of them. And they're like, oh, shoot, this is bad. This is bad.
Yeah, not sure how you'd see this many stars in such a light-polluted place, but hey.
Well, it seems like they don't have any electricity anymore. It seems like it's not really light polluted anymore.
Well, they definitely have, like, TV.
Yeah. Do they?
Yeah, because they watch TV.
Oh, yeah, I guess, because they get the news about America being devastated. So, they...
Basically, Donna gets taken by Rose to the facility that she's...
This unit facility.
I guess it's unit. We meet a new person in charge of, if not unit, then their time travel operations. But like all the other unit leaders in the new series, they're not exactly memorable.
No, the first really memorable
personnel.
one we're gonna get is Kate Lethbridge Stewart when Stephen Moffat takes over.
All right,
and
but then,
she's only memorable
has
because they actually bring her back multiple times instead of just using her once and then coming up with someone new.
Well, she also, I guess, unfortunately, it's obviously I haven't watched anything from her yet, but I mean, she's related to the Brig based on her name.
Yeah,
and that's probably also why she's memorable. But like, even if you think of like Benson and Yates, they're more memorable than anyone we've really had from.
Well, yeah, because they bring them back week to week is the thing. They create these leaders in the reboot, and they just like throw them away. They like don't bring them back, which is why they're not memorable because it makes them feel less like a long running commander of unit and more like just a story specific character who was invented just to be in that story.
Sure, Rose sort of explains what's going on. Mm-hmm. She tells Donna that she's from an alternate dimension or something. Right. And reveals that there's, something on her back. And we see the TARDIS. Donna goes into the TARDIS for the first time in this timeline.
Yeah. And she's like, whoa.
And Rose says they're trying to reverse engineer the technology that allows it to time travel. They haven't been completely successful in totally replicating it, but they do have time travel abilities now.
Yeah, vaguely. She's like, we've got some of the surface technology.
We hooked up a bunch of mirrors to a switch, and it worked.
Basically, the TARDIS is apparently trying to help them. The TARDIS is dying, but the TARDIS is still trying to help them, Rose says. So Rose uses the mirrors to show Donna the bug on her back, and she's like, oh god, turn them off, turn them off. And so Rose turns it off, and then Rose basically explains to Donna that they think the moment where everything changed is when she turned right instead of left, and she needs to go back, and before 1 minute past 10, she needs to somehow make herself turn left instead of right. And Donna's like, okay, I can do that.
Yeah, Donna's pretty on board with it until she's like, so I'm not going to die. I'm just going to go back in time. And Rose is like,
Rose is just like, I'm so sorry.
And this is how Donna is transported back in this state of disbelief that she's going to have to die.
Yeah.
But it doesn't...
But when she lands,
she only has 4 minutes to get
like half a mile away,
right? Because they accidentally drop her down, in the wrong place.
Mm-hmm. So she's trying to run there, and then she's got like 2 minutes left. She's like, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it. And there's this truck barreling down the road, and Donna's like, oh no. She just kind of steps out into the road and gets hit by this truck.
Which causes a traffic jam that causes Donna not to go right and instead go left.
Right, because she
doesn't want to get stuck in traffic.
Yeah, she sees the traffic jam, so I don't want to get stuck in traffic, and she goes left. And then
resetting everything.
Rose comes up to Donna and is like, make sure to tell him these 2 words. And then you don't hear what she says. But you
it's
can
Theta
probably
Sigma.
Guess what it is. It's Rose Tyler. Those
I
are
mean,
the two words.
it was
It's
either
either
Rose
Rose Tyler or
Tyler.
Bad
Yeah,
Wolf. So Donna goes. She jumps back.
yeah.
The
She
timeline resets itself.
right, and she's back in the room with the fortune teller.
And the bug dies. The bug like jumps off her back and dies. And the fortune teller's like, "Who are you? What are you? And or what will you become?"
And Donna
And
doesn't really have an answer to that. The doctor comes in. She's like, "Hey, doctor, I just had this weird experience."
yeah, she hugs the doctor and he's like, "Well, what happened?" And she's like, "Oh, bad stuff."
The doctor takes a look at the bug and says that he has no idea what it is. Maybe the midnight creature is just one of these bugs. No, it's not.
No, I doubt it. And the doctor's
But
talking about how creative this whole parallel universe around Donna, which he was like, yeah, so basically it'll normally just change its choice and the universe just compensates around it and it doesn't usually cause a lot of damage or any damage at all. But because Donna apparently is so important to something that has happened or is going to happen, that an entire parallel universe was created because the universe like couldn't compensate for this change. So an entire like separate universe got created around Donna, which is why she can still remember bits and pieces of it, but no one else does.
yeah, she's trying to remember Rose, but she says that she can't exactly recall.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, the doctor realizes that it was Rose, talking to Donna and stuff.
Right. And
And
then,
he runs outside and all
well,
this.
because he asks her what the words she said were, and Donna's like, bad wolf, and the doctor's like, oh no. And he runs out and all of the banners have changed to say bad wolf.
Yeah, basically
all the writing.
all the writing, even the writing on the TARDIS.
Yeah. The top where it says police call box has changed to say bad wolf, and the writing on the front has changed to say
Bad wolf.
And the doctor runs inside of the TARDIS and it's all red and the cloister bell is ringing. And I just want to make a note here that they actually took the care and attention to detail to reverse the words. Because you can see the inside of the TARDIS door from the inside of the TARDIS.
Yeah, I
And the
guess
top,
not something I typically think
the top
of.
you can see through and you can see the words on the other side because it's like transparent or translucent, I guess. And they actually took the time to make it so that it says bad wolf through the like translucent bit. So from the inside of the TARDIS, it still looks like it says bad wolf.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
And Donna's like, what does bad wolf mean? And the doctor's like, the end of the universe. Hard cut to preview for next week, which surprisingly doesn't give anything away at all except
The
who
Daleks.
the villain is. It was so good
I
until
already
the
kn-
end.
I already know who they're bringing back.
Yeah.
In addition to the Daleks,
How did you spoil it for yourself?
just accidentally scrolling through on Amazon. I closed. I mean, you watch them on Amazon, right? So like, you close the player thing or whatever,
Yeah.
and then I just saw the word.
The word Davies.
Yeah, I was like, all right. I mean, I was fine with it though. I mean,
But it's such a good. I actually don't know if it's a good reveal because I don't remember.
I
Quite
feel
frankly.
but I feel like there's a lot more going on here than just bringing back Davros, right? I mean, we have this stuff with the planets disappearing that I still think is somehow related to this alternate universe creating bug. Maybe not.
I mean, yeah, we have a lot going on to resolve next week. We got the planets disappearing. We're going to have the Daleks. The preview showed off Martha and
basically
Sarah Jane as well.
All the important, or not all the important characters, but all the companions, at least, of the new series.
It's essentially next week is essentially greatest hits of Russell T.
Which is okay, right? It's his last story.
Which is not actually. He thought it was going to be, but then Moffat was like, I can't take over yet. So they did the specials, the 2008 through 2010 specials.
But still, like, I get it, right? And, even bringing back Rose in, like, a large capacity to me is okay, even though we said, during Series 2 that Rose is sort of run her course. Mm-hmm. I liked Rose's right out at the end of Series 2, regardless, but bringing her back here in a big role makes sense to me, right? This character that Russell T, I guess, created. I don't like to say stuff like that because when it comes to TV and movies, a character is not ever really created by one person.
Right. And the initial conception was created by Russell T, though, I think.
Yeah, but like this character that you helped create.
I mean, the character was built up by multiple writers writing for her and multiple people throwing their ideas around, right? But Russell T was the one who kind of came up with the initial concept for this teenager from London who travels with the Doctor.
Yeah, but also when it comes to movies and TV, the characters are also realized by directors and actors and stuff like that.
Right.
So.
But yeah, so Russell T. Yeah, greatest hits of Russell T next week.
I'm
I don't
looking
know.
forward to it.
I kind of wish they hadn't mentioned Rose as much in Series 3. I feel like her coming back here would be even more impactful than it already is if we hadn't had her mentioned like every other week in Series 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. That was like what Russell T wanted to do with Martha's plotline, was like, oh, she's living in the shadow of Rose. But like, I think it, and he probably didn't know at that point that he was going to bring Billie Piper and Rose back this season in any capacity at all. So I don't blame him for that. But I feel like it would have been more impactful to see Rose this season without having her mentioned at all during Series 3.
Yeah.
So otherwise, I liked this episode. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, I think if I remember correctly, we've seen something similar to this in previous episodes, multiple times where a character or someone will bring up how like this event happened or like in Voyage of the Damned, Wilf was the only one staying in London. Everyone else was affected by, the Rachnos incident and all the other weird alien stuff that went down in London. Now they're all they're either left town or they're staying holed up inside on Christmas. This story takes it to sort of a next level state where, you're going back through all the stories from the perspective of someone who is just a bystander.
Right.
Which is, I guess I liked it.
I mean, I like seeing these alternate perspectives on all these stories. We also forgot to mention that Atmos is stopped by the Torchwood 3 team, which includes Jack Harkness, who apparently gets teleported to the Sontaran homeworld in the process. So they what's nice is they provide all these alternate explanations for how these events all get stopped without the Doctor. Like Sarah Jane in the hospital.
Or don't get stopped, like the Adipose or the Titanic.
Or the Adipose. And Torchwood stopping the Atmos system and the Sontarans. I don't know, it's nice seeing these alternate perspectives on stories we've already seen. It's like a twist on the story we know. Kind of like Cinderella 3, where the evil stepmother gets the fairy godmother's wand and like goes back and changes the timeline so that the shoe fits the evil stepsister instead of Cinderella. They have to like change everything back. I don't know. I just like stories. I just like stories where we get to see events that we know play out in like a different fashion. It's like an alternate history. Yeah, it's like an alternate history kind of story. Like all those novels where the Nazis win World War II, for example. I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
I just really like things like that.
Okay.
So anyway, we're like coming rapidly to the close of Series 4 and also rapidly to the end of the Russell T era. Unfortunately, ? I guess we'll have to make that determination in a couple weeks.
Well, I mean, like I've said before already, I'm ready for the Stephen Moffat era, which isn't to say that I disliked the Russell T era.
Right. Of course. It's just time for a change. We've had 4 series of this, time for a change, but then we're going to get 6 series of Stephen Moffat, so for better or for worse, in sickness and in health. You can email us at thedoctor@decorativevegetable.com. Questions, comments, concerns, angry rants, love letters, your thoughts on everything changing and turning right instead of left, making a wrong turn. Your thoughts on making a wrong turn. You can find us on YouTube at Decorative Vegetable. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and Google Play at Trust Your Doctor. Be sure to leave a rating if you like the show.
Check us on Facebook, Trust Your Doctor. Like us on Facebook. Also check us on Twitter at TYD Podcast and follow us on Twitter. And next time we're watching The Stolen Earth and Journey's End. But until then, the end.